with the theme of the business of digital entertainment. During this virtual conference, we will be discussing the global trends and the entire OTT ecosystem to provide a thorough understanding of the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. Without further ado, let's move to our first fire chat of the day with the topic of deriving customer lifetime value. Let me first invite our moderator for the session, Mr. Mohit Dhawan, Chief Client Partner, AppsFlyer. And now let me introduce you to our speaker for the session, Vishnu Mohta, Executive Director, SVF and co-founder Hoichoi TV. Over to you, Mr. Dhawan.
Thank you. Thank you, Priyanka, for the introduction. And I think thanks to IMAI for organizing such an event. I'm hoping that it would be very, very insightful. And nevertheless, thanks to Vishnu for coming alongside the chat. And I'm hoping that we would get a lot of secrets from him that how in the entertainment and a niche category he has really grown his product to such a level. And what are the different strategies that he employs to grow the product further. So I think thank you so much. Thanks a lot, and a very good morning to everyone. Uh, so just to start off, that when anyone reads about your product or really goes and about the product, I think the first idea that came into my mind, as I am also very curious, that how it all started, how the idea came into your mind to enter into a niche regional OTT player, and were you really thought that you will scale this up, or what was the secret sauce that it planned out? If you can really share that with us.
Yeah, sure. Firstly, good morning, Mohit. Thanks for having me on the panel. So the way we started thinking about this was not in 2017 when we actually started the entire work around this started a year or two before that. And I think the makings of us being able to go direct to consumer from a content production company. So as a background, uh, SVF, which is the parent company of Hoichoi, has been in the content creation business for the last 25 years. This is in fact our 25th year of doing business. And in this time span, we've sort of made about 160 movies. We've made 10,000 hours of TV content. We've got a very large repository of acquired intellectual property around satellite rights, internet rights, etc. And I think all of that, we've always done it only in one language, which is Bengali, for the last 25 years. Very focused on that one language. And when the sort of, as I think about it, a digital content creation opportunity came along, we felt that it was a great opportunity for us to make a real play in what we call as the third form of storytelling, right? So there's the films, and then there's television shows. And we think of this as the third form of storytelling, which has a mix of what it takes to make a movie and what it takes to make a television show. So our internal thesis is that it requires the quality of film, but the discipline of television shows. So, you have to deliver, because you're a network, you have to deliver at a consistent pace in terms of the content that you put out on a weekly basis, if not more. And we felt, because we'd had that, last 25 years of experience, that we'd probably be able to make a big play in this. And it was an opportunity for us to go direct to consumer as a content creation company. So that was where we sort of started thinking about this. And in our other businesses, we work with partners. On the film side, we'll work with uh, with a Inox or a PVR or Cinepolis, the multiplex chains and the single screens to take our films to the theaters. On the television content front, we work with all the broadcasters to take our stories to the end consumer. With the web, there was an opportunity to go direct to consumer, to tell those stories direct to consumer. And we wanted to sort of lap onto that opportunity without trying to, you know, uh, we knew we had the IP ownership, and we felt that we had the content creation ability to be able to make that happen. In addition to having relationships with the industry, because we could not have created all the content that we wanted to create for running a OTT platform. But we knew that we'd be able to work with great partners, content creation partners, and we felt it was the right way for us to proceed as a next leg of our journey, if you like.
Amazing. I think congratulations for completing 25 years in the content business. And
Thank you.
And before we move to deriving more insights on a customer lifetime value, I'm as curious to ask, as you said, that 25 years, and when I see your product, these I think the scale, the million visits, more than a million downloads, and so how do just that curious to know that how the growth in a niche category is that possible at a very rapid pace, and how do you scale from 2 million plus downloads from this? So is that possible in a niche category?
So we had about 5 million plus. Maybe that's not a good table, but let's put it this way. Uh, the way we think about I mean, I want to take a step backwards before we talk about uh, specifically niche and scaling niche categories. India is not a country of one language. It's not a country that is like the US or China, where you either speak
Yes.
English or Mandarin and you'd be able to cater to the entire country. As we've seen in the case of films or TV shows, or in the case of print media, etc., every sort of language has a very large population, 100 million plus. There are 10 languages with 100 million plus population globally that speak this language, and it's not a one size fit all, right? It's not as if you'd make a Hindi movie and that would cater to the whole of India. If that was the case, there would be no other movies made in any other languages for that matter.
Absolutely.
Same applies for some of the other categories. There are very, very large regional brands that have been created over the last 50 to 100 years. So you talk about Malayalam Manorama, you talk about Anand Bazar Patrika, you talk about Sun TV. These are very large media conglomerates that are built around uh, focusing on one or two languages, if you like, which is not necessarily the Hindi language, which is the mainstream language if you think about it.
Mm.
Bengali, to zone in on Bengali, Bengali is a language spoken by close to 300 million people globally. Okay. Bangladesh as a country speaks only Bengali. It's a country of
Mm.
160 million people.
Mm.
It's the sixth, seventh most spoken language, depending on which metric you look at, but the sixth or seventh most spoken language in the world. Um, that gives us enough play to keep us busy for a
Absolutely.
number of years going forward. And we always wanted to be the large, dominant mind share owner of the customer. Maybe not the market share, not necessarily the market share, but definitely, hopefully, the mind share owner of the customer when they think about entertainment in Bengali language. We wanted to be so our mission is to be the default platform for anything Bengali, in Bengali entertainment. Um, and we wanted to sort of really dominate this category, which is what we intend to do, and which is what keeps us very busy every day, and has kept us busy for 25 years.
I think amazing insights, and that's the thank you, and that's the way that gives one confidence to enter into a particular category. So when I was reading about the reviews, I think the almost 80% on the reviews from the customers are 4.1 plus, and 50% of the reviews are 5 star. And when I see that on the Play Store, I think it's amazing. So how did you manage in because in India generally people are critiques, so that means you guys are doing some fantastic stuff on the content side. So tell me something about it, that how do you manage to do this even at such a larger scale? 50% on 5, I think hats off. And the way you guys are, maybe content is the top most priority, but what is the secret sauce in this?
Thank you for that. Firstly, I think I mean, very quickly we realized the platform business content is one side of the story. Then there is the technology and the platform experience side of the story, and then there is the marketing and the customer support side of the story. So these are what I think as the four key pillars of OTT as a business, and you have to get all four right in a relatively large fashion. You just can't get content right and deliver it in a bad experience on the platforms, on the OTT, on the app side. You cannot have a brand that doesn't appeal to people in a lot of ways, and it's not really something that energizes people when they actually, because this is the most one-to-one experience possible, right? This is solo viewing, right? So it is almost like a friend. It's something that kills your boredom. So you have to think of it like a friend as a brand, because it's your own experience, it's your own portal to entertainment individually. This is not viewing with your family in the case of television, or it's not viewing as a community in the case of theatrical. So it is so branding becomes very important. Uh, I think a lot of the key secret sauce in our case has been to really focus on the customer. Um, and we've got a fairly large and very motivated customer experience team, and we try and sort of insist on them having the ability to make calls for customers If someone is having an issue, do we give an extension? If someone is having an issue, can we actually go to that person's place and actually check out that device? Maybe there is something, maybe we buy that device and see whether there is some way to, backtrack and work out what is the issue in that specific use case. That is common in the Android ecosystem, if you like, so fragmented. So it's sort of starting with the customer first and thinking backwards. So that I think is from the app and the customer experience. And on the content side, as I said, I feel all OTT businesses are content businesses. First and foremost, in addition to, I mean, layered with great technology. So I believe it's our 25 years of focusing on one community and understanding what their needs are, and that keeps evolving at the same time. But understanding that, honing in on that, and creating excitement every single week, because this is a subscription business, you have to make sure that people feel, that they've done the right choice by paying for a service, right? Because they might be an outlier, especially in the earlier days. So when they made that choice, they made the right choice, and that's reiterated every single week when they sort of are looking out for new content, and they were sort of hopefully, we get them to emote in the right fashion so that they keep coming back. They feeling that this is their brand, this is theirs. If I'm a Bengali, this is my platform. Everything I see around Hoichoi is something that belongs to me. It's my community, and that thesis holds true globally, because there's a very, very big diaspora of Indian and Bangladeshi consumers globally. Right? So Indians represent the largest diaspora in the world, more than China. And Indian and Bangladeshi Bengalis combined is again a very, very massive diaspora. 40% of our revenue comes from international territories outside India. So I think it's again extremely important to understand that their innate needs are actually to connect back to their roots, to look back at what is going on in their home country or their home region, and what is the content that they are missing out on. So I think because we are focused on one language, we want to have the widest plate of uh, content threads that are possible, and to cater to every single need within that spectrum of a Bengali audience, if you like. So that's the challenge. That's the excitement. I think that is what results in that bouquet of varied content across the last 5 decades. In the case of movies, essentially allows us to hopefully keep the engine going, if you like.
So I think perfectly, as you said, completely in echo with that customer obsession, even we at AppsFly, I believe that this is the foremost thing to do. And if you believe in this, definitely you will gain market share, you will grow. But I think customer obsession and giving a good customer experience is one of the key pillars for any company. So I think thank you so much for sharing these. And now let's move into how do you derive customer lifetime value. So do you take when you take a goal that okay, we want to acquire some new users or we want to expand to new markets? How do you transfer these goals into a measurable KPIs, and how do you go towards that?
So LTV is absolutely the the holy grail in this business. Let's put it this way: you've got a great LTV, you've got a great business. I think the other metric that is not given as much value, which I think is a derivative of LTV, is actually consumer engagement. How much time is a consumer spending on your platform uh, on a day, week, monthly basis? And I think that is what actually determines content choices and subscription choices, which when it comes time to renew, consumers make that conscious choice. Oh, am I actually using the platform in the first place? That's the first and foremost reason to subscribe or resubscribe for that matter. Right? You might subscribe, you might use marketing and other things to acquire a customer. To retain a customer, I think you need absolute passion and dedication, love for the platform or the content. That's the only thing that will get them. You can, sort of get them to do it once, but again, to do it them repeatedly, especially in India, which doesn't have a great recurring ecosystem. Let's say we're getting there very fast, but I think there are only so many payment methods that allow you to have a recurring mandate based payment platform. So it's almost like a transactional platform, and you have to ask the customer at every interval, do you want to resubscribe? Do you want to resubscribe? Um, so that makes the job a lot harder, I think, personally, and which is what keeps us going also at the same time. Because as a matter of fact, just to give you an example, we sort of for the last 2.5 years, we've been a little bit of an outlier where we've only got a annual plan. Okay, we don't have a monthly plan, we don't have a quarterly plan, we don't have a yearly plan. So only recently, when Paytm came out with a recurring option, that we actually enabled a monthly plan for 200 rupees but that only applies to Paytm-based payments. So we sort of are very conscious of the fact that there are pain points that we have to navigate through as far as India is concerned. In our case, Bangladesh is concerned. As far as territories outside India is concerned, so again, there it's a lot easier to sort of have a recurring payment ecosystem if you like. So there the price points are completely different as monthly and yearly kind of price points. But yeah, to go back to your question around LTV, I think I would not just zone on LTV. That's a derivative of consumer engagement, and the consumer engagement is a derivative of how great your content and your marketing is.
So
If you
I
solve for
think
one, I think you solve for the other.
absolutely, absolutely. But just to pick what you have said, that these are the markets, India, Bangladesh. These are very price sensitive markets and not as matured in terms of pricing when I compare to the western part of it. So when you say that when you launch a monthly plan, I think it becomes very, very critical for these markets, especially to have a monthly plan rather than a yearly plan, because huge percentage belongs to middle class, where they think that okay, I can spare a minimum amount out of a month, but at a yearly, sometimes it can be a blocker. So I'm assuming that post introducing the monthly plan, you might have seen a spike in the subscription also. Is that true or no? I'm just assuming.
So we only launched the monthly plan about 2 months back. We thought that our matrix will flip. Where 70% of the people will go for the monthly plan and 30% will go for the annual plan. Okay, but I think it's been the inverse. Actually, 30% still go for the monthly plan, and 70% goes for the annual plan. So it's, I think, a bridge, sort of a trial, because we don't offer any free trials, etc. It's sort of a bridge to the consumer service, see how it is, etc. And then take a much more pocket-friendly choice in terms of a yearly plan of 600 odd. So the it I think that is also down to having done this for 4 years and having focused on delivering trust with the consumer, because you're asking them to give your wallet, your credit card number, or etc. and all that. So safety,
Absolutely.
right? So trust plays a very big factor in this. Is this a service that's going to go out of business in a year or 2 years? Am I going to be cheated out of that money? Those are the kind of things that comes to a customer's mind when they sort of start off on a journey. I think having done this for 4 years, this gives a little bit of confidence to the customer that, okay, you know what, it's not as if I buy the subscription, the next day they're going to stop giving content, or they're going to be a little bit inconsistent with the amount of content that they put out. One of the reasons for the high reviews, probably high ratings, is probably also the fact that we do about 25 shows a year. We do about 12 to 15 film digital premieres, films that release first on Hoichoi and then anywhere else for that matter. So, I think it's the consistency of giving value to the customer, notional value, time spent value, which is what allows us to do a lot of that, I guess.
I think it's a completely different once you read about the product, when you see the product, and when you talk
Right.
from the creator of that product, I think it gives you a
Right.
different perspective also.
Right.
So as you said that yes, definitely these customers play an important role. So my next question to you is that we as a company in AppsFlyer, when we guide online app companies, we have seen that churn plays a very, very important role. It's one thing to acquire a customer, but then churn plays a very significant role as well. So from an OTT perspective, how do you handle churn? That let's say you have acquired a user from a paid media or from an organic media, especially in paid media, if you have acquired a user, you have spent something, and suddenly how do you manage churn? Is there a strategy towards that, or do you measure churn as a metric? How do you go towards that?
So I think this is a classic period we are in right now. As I mentioned, we only have an annual plan in India and Bangladesh. Last year, just about this time, the world went into lockdown. India specifically went into lockdown, 20th of March. So I think 20th March to about, I think, 15th of May was a massive acquisition cycle without doing anything much, to be honest. We are at the time where we sort of have a bunch of those users. It's like judgment day for us now, right? So because this is the proof of what we've done in the last year, whether that has been enough, whether we've excited people enough, whether we've offered the right content, etc. And we are in the midst of that period as we speak today, right? So as far as the churn, management is concerned, I think I answered part of it when we discussed LTV, because LTV is nothing but a factor of churn, right? And how we manage LTV is also how we manage churn. Great content, great service, trying to make sure people are not, if they want a refund on something, you just offer it. You don't sort of ask questions. You don't want to sort of create 5 layers of why they should not be refunded their money or cancel their plans. because I think those things go a long way. The other thing I think that goes a long way in terms of churn is actually how much talkability is there in your content. That's very colloquial today. How much talkability is there in your content? Are people really excited to out? I mean, I frankly feel that we do fair amount of marketing. We're not the most marketing heavy company, and we never want to be. We want to be always the most content heavy company is. Um, but the content that you do create, are you actually creating talkability around that? Are people actually referring your service or your content to other people? That's the only surefire way to have a very, very consistent engine going. And that's, I mean, if a customer ends up bringing, if a great customer ends up bringing us 3, 4, 5 subscription, I think that's the way to scale, I guess. That be the ultimate goal of Voyager. Can the existing subscribers have such a great experience that they actually almost force their family and friends to make that same choice? Uh, so, in my opinion, that's what gets people to make purchase decisions today. I think marketing plays a decent amount of role. You can do just information that can just inform people that that is available and uh, make some excitement around it. But actually, purchase decisions are taken at the time of the person making that purchase decision. I think a lot of other compelling choices kick in. Am I being referred to do this? Have I been told that this is a great thing to do? Have I been told that you're missing out? And that is what drives the purchase decision. It's not traffic. I don't think we care a lot about traffic per se, which is why we might have one of the most healthiest download to subscription ratios in the business, because we sort of don't uh, focus on just getting downloads or just getting monthly active and daily active and whatever users. What we care about is, okay, the people who did subscribe, how much was the time spent on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
Absolutely. I think it varies from the company perspective. Some really cares about subscription also. So as you said, marketing and these are impulsive decisions, and these go hand in hand. And obviously, content plays a very important role in the businesses like you. When you're talking a lot about this subscription, about the monthly and the annual thing. So my question to you is, some of the players in your industry works on a freemium model where they give a part of content free and part of on subscription. Some of the players work only on subscription based on video demand, that is SVOD. Some of works on AVOD, that is advertising video on demand, and a mix of subscription. So what is Howjoy core thing, that it's SVOD subscription based, or it is AVOD, or is a mixture, and what is the vision in the long term where do you see?
We are first and foremost SWOT, and we've been that way from the day we started 4 years back, about 4 years back. Just to jog back 4 years back, at the time when we were thinking about subscription as the model, I think a lot of other folks in the ecosystem were all about, okay, India's never going to pay. It's just about never. It's not a choice. It's not a time factor. It's a never. And it was almost a stupid choice to go for subscription and to go original, that too. So it became a niche of a niche, if you like.
Yes.
300 million, if 300 million people is a niche, that's okay. But I think it became a niche of a niche.
Definitely.
But our thoughts were very clear here. There was only one way to monetize and make money in this business, if there is money to be made in this business, and that was to get people to pay for great premium content, right? And that is the only way we would want to put our own movies on any service. It had to be behind a paywall, because the minute you make it available uh, on AVOD or FOD, what happens is the longevity of that content is done with today in that pay itself, right? Because it's freely available to the customer base. It's no long tail. You cannot monetize that content over the next 20, 30, 40 years. That minute itself, you made the choice that you don't care about the long tail of the content, in our opinion, when we make our movies. And that's what dictated a lot of choices around SVOD. So we were like, okay, you know what, maybe not all customers will pay. Maybe some of them will pay. Our math said that, we'd still make more money if there was even a 30 to 1 ratio of paying to a free customer, or even a 50 to 1 ratio of a free to a paid customer. And the other thing about AVOD that we realized is that, a bulk of that revenue is cornered by two large people we work with again, which is Facebook and Google, right? The bulk of that market, 80-90% of that market. And then you have Apple and Amazon, etc., and all that. We were not very sure that without having that kind of scale, you'd be able to effectively compete for that same wallet of an advertiser. You could be able to do that maybe. Then there are other ecosystems like Hotstar, etc. So, but what, like you pointed out a little bit earlier, I think a lot of people have pivoted a little bit towards subscription now, who even started out from a advertisement point of view, I think centric point of view. And the other thing was, in our case, we are going a little bit opposite, to be honest. We had a little gated community of nothing but free almost, right? We had some movies, like 100 movies, we made for first 1 or 2 episodes of a show free, etc. and all that. Now what we started doing is the opposite actually. We started making some free episodes, free shows. Okay, we call it, Hoichoi Freemium. And what we do, we've done only 2 of those shows till now. We want to do about 6 or 7 of these shows. The idea simply being, it's not about making money off advertisement in our case. It's about customer retention strategy in our case, building a funnel, as you'd understand, right? So if a customer lands onto your platform and he is today at a position where he's saying, you know what, I don't want to pay for content today. Okay, fine. Can we give them engagement with a good show, which might be a branded show for that matter, but have him be part of that funnel instead of immediately uninstalling the application, and have him stick around. Maybe after seeing, 30, 40, 50 hours of content, maybe he might make the choice that, okay, you know what, I'm now ready to make a little bit of a plunge. I cannot live without this. This has become part of my daily life. Okay, essentially we're in the habit formation business, if you think about it. So are we able to build habits? Are we able to be a part of people's days? And that is a form of marketing expense for us. It is not a advertisement revenue source for us, if you like.
I think hats off to you going towards an annual plan, going towards a subscription-based model in India, everything
Right,
non-conventional, which is not assumed
Right.
in India and still
Right.
matching this scale.
Right.
And I think
Right.
that is the reason and I might be wrong, when I look back of your customer ratings, I think that is because one pillar, because you give a good customer experience, no advertisements and nothing in between. I think that also gives you an advantage, because we are working with a lot of OTT players, and I see them moving towards SVOD from AVOD slowly, because there's a borderline between customer experience and the revenue. So that's why most of the OTT players are moving towards SVOD industry. So I think hats off to you to get to these things 2 years back and to with an annual plan. Amazing. I think I got a lot of insights from this, that if you have a vision and if you focus on the content in OTT industry and think about the customer obsession, I think you can really do wonders. And that's the reason I see you guys are doing great. And and from the AppsFlyer team and from everyone, I really hope that you grow bigger and bigger, and all the very best. I really enjoyed this conversation. Any questions from your side or anything? I think it's an amazing. Thank you for your time, and thanks to IMI for.
No, thank you so much,
inviting me.
Mohit.
I
You
really
summarized
enjoyed
it
it.
perfectly. I think it's great to be able to talk about some of these things. I think some of these are very first principle things, very basic things. I don't know if I've really added a lot of insights in a lot of it, but I think it's about going back to basics in a lot of cases in business.
But yes, definitely you have added and going to the basics, but I'm assuming the journey would have been very tough, that in India, price sensitive market, sticking to the principles and going a non-conventional way. I think definitely you definitely added a lot of.
Thank you. It's with having partners like AppsFlyer. I think we've been a partner for AppsFlyer for the last year and a bit. I think that's also helped in that journey of making that happen.
That's sweet of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Dhawan, and a special thanks to Mr. Vishnu Mohta for joining us for the session.
Thank you for having us here.
I would also like you to thank this opportunity to thank our platinum partner, AppsFlyer. And please stay tuned for more such exciting discussions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the session.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks for inviting. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.